Good evening. I now call the Huntsville City Council meeting to order. If all that are able to and like to, please rise for the invocation led by the Reverend Koch, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Dr. Robinson.
First, I'd like to thank the City Council for this opportunity to spiritually serve our community. And I ask that we all be in humble adoration of spirit that surrounds and infuses each and every one of us. We call upon the Father of divine will, the Mother, the giver of life, and the Son, the created self. We thank you for this beautiful day and ask you to hold this group in your hand of love and wisdom. We also call upon the strength we need to fulfill your purpose. I call to task the souls of each one gathered here today to search and reach with open hearts for honesty and integrity in all that is said. As we move forward into this time of Easter, may we as a group rise in our consciousness so that we may see and hear on a higher level of Christ's wisdom, and that this council and its attendees may discuss the issues of our community in peace and harmlessness for the betterment of the residents of Huntsville and its surrounding area. As this meeting progresses, may all that is involved in human speech be cleansed. May our tongues and throats be washed with light and blessed. May our minds and hearts be clear channels for the expression of the divine. May any turbulence in our lives be laid to rest, and our personal desires be bowed in joyful service. In love, in power, and in wisdom balanced, may all the work in these chambers be done with truth its test. And now I ask that these blessings flow forth on this gathering. May love flood over you. May light shine upon you. May peace enfold you. May joy uplift you. May health support you. May harmlessness protect you. May wisdom humble you. May intuition guide you. And may God's presence fill you this day and all the days of your lives. We ask all of this in the name of the living Christ. Amen.
Please face the flag. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend Koch. Thank you, Dr. Robinson. The minutes from the March 12, 2015 meeting have been received, and they'll stand approved if there's no objections. We're now at resolutions and special recognitions. Mayor, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. If I could ask Steve Ivey to come up with our Parks and Recreation, and he's going to bring County Commissioner Phil Riddick with him. And we have a kind of a special presentation. Plus, we also have a special event happening Saturday, which we would like for Steve to talk about our special presentation and Commissioner Riddick to talk about our special event that happens Saturday.
Thank you, Mayor. We're real excited that we have Commissioner Riddick on our side. He's been a good friend to the Recreation Department, and he comes tonight with a $10,000 donation towards a new tennis center. I think this will be something that we can make happen, that if we can get more people in and supporting it, the city and the partnerships, then we can have the additional courts that the tennis community wants.
And Saturday, tell us about Saturday.
The park down in South Huntsville is going to be open. We're going to have a big day out there. We're going to start the morning, 8 o'clock, with a 5K run called Run for the River. So we're going to start at the new park on Cheney Thompson on the Greenway, run to Ditto and back. And then our opening ceremonies will be at 11 o'clock, and then we'll have a day of festivities after that, hosted by Huntsville South, the Civic Association down there, and a lot of activities, food trucks, booths, vendors having to do with pets and things like that to kind of kick off the dog park. So it's going to be an exciting day.
And talk about the dog park and how it's put together.
The dog park has come along a long way. I guess we broke ground on that nearly 3 years ago, But the first phase is going to open again Saturday. We'll have the pavilion, the playground, about a 9-acre wooded dog park. I believe that there'll be disc golf there Saturday. It may not be completed, but I think most of that's going to be assembled and up. And we'll be announcing a brand new phase coming up in a few months too. So we're really excited about this. It's been a long journey we've really been battling weather and a lot of other things along the way, but we're really glad that it's finally here at the time to open.
Mayor, one other thing I'd like to add, this is just the start of the South Side Park. With Commissioner Riddick, we were already talking with Dr. Hill in the back right before we came in, is maybe looking at the dog park for expansions and some other phases that we're talking about. So there's a lot of land there. There's a lot of opportunities that we can partner in, and we're looking forward to making this a jewel in the South Huntsville.
Commissioner Riddick, we want to thank you for your partnership, because this has been really a true partnership. You provided the land. We did some of the work. You did a lot of the work. You've even worked so hard you got paint on your hands and splattered on your face from where you've been painting down there so that we could be ready on time. And this really is a true partnership. And you know, this project's a true partnership. 2 weeks ago, Steve Haraway was here, and he was partnering with us on paving some roads on Waltriana. And so we want to tell the entire county commission, thank you very much for your partnership. It makes all of our jobs work very, very well, and that's kind of the magic of this area. So thank you very much.
You're quite welcome, and that's a really important thing. We don't have a Parks and Recreation department at the county, and for us to do this is really great that we could help, with some funds and help the city provide this additional good quality of life item that we have.
Thank you very much. And I love it when they come with a check too. Thank you. Good. And if we could ask Donna Castellano and Dianne Burch to come up, please. Now, many of y'all may not know these two, but if you ever came up on a Thursday to the Sidewalk Arts Stroll, these are the two who were in charge of the madness down there. And they did such a good job, and they provided us for years and years. How many years was it? 9 years. They provided us on a very hot Thursday afternoons and evenings. They provided us for an art stroll that made our downtown alive and vibrant, and just did a wonderful job with it. And they have now decided to pass the torch to some others, and they're going to be doing some other volunteer activities, which will keep them very busy. But we want to thank them for what they've done for us. And I have a resolution for you, and I also have 2 coins from the city, and I want to say thank you very much for what y'all have done for us. And I have a resolution y'all can share. Every 2 weeks you can give each other the resolution, and we'll make a copy too. But we do want to say thank you for all those years, 9 years of great activity in the downtown area, and you're what makes us into a community. So thank you for all that y'all have done.
Thank you. Thank the City of Huntsville. We could not have done it without your support and the people in the community, and the wonderful city workers who also were there with us every step of the way. So we appreciate it. Has been wonderful to be a part of the revitalization of downtown.
Well, y'all did such a good job, and then as it got hotter in the summer, I'd watch y'all, and they'd turn pink almost by the end of the day, because it was a hot days that they were out there. So thank y'all for your work.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Councilmembers, we need to approve that resolution. It's a resolution commending Donna Castellano and Dianne Burch for their efforts in organizing the Sidewalk Arts Stroll. The chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kling. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries.
Do we want to take 15D out of order since we've already taken Commissioner Riddick's check?
Sure, that'll be fine. 15D is a resolution authorizing acceptance of donations. The chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Dr. Showers. Discussion. All those in favor of accepting the donation signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. 15D has been passed. We have no council resolutions tonight. We do have announcement. 15I has been deleted. 15I has been deleted from your agenda. We have no business with outside legal representation. We do have public hearings to be held. Now is the time and place for a public hearing on ordinance number 15-65, rezoning property lying on the east side of South Shawdee Road and east of South Village Square Road, and on the west side of South Shawdee Road and on the south side of Nature Trail Road from Residence 1 District to Residence 1A District. This was set February 12, 2015 at the regular council meeting. Ms. Nichols?
This property is approximately 235.87 acres. There are two separate tracts located on the east and west sides of South Shawdee Road. These properties are currently zoned Residence 1. The current property owner would like to petition a rezoning for Residence 1 district, and this item was recommended by Planning Commission. It is currently vacant land and will be used for future residential developments.
Thank you, Ms. Nichols. Does anyone from the public wish to address the council on this particular issue? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Showers, a second by Dr. Robinson. Questions, discussion? Ms. Nichols, could you sum up the difference between Residence 1 District and Residence 1A District?
Yes, the main difference, and I also have a chart here that will probably make it a little easier. The major difference is the lot area. For Residence 1, the minimum lot is a lot area is 15,000 square feet. For 1A, it is 12,000 square feet. For this particular property, the property owner has not offered plat restrictions, but the lots will be a minimum of 15,000 square feet because there will be septic tanks for each home that will be developed here. So basically, the requirements will remain the same. They're particularly interested in the smaller side yard setback.
Okay, thank you. Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. Now is the time and place for a public hearing on ordinance number 15-67, rezoning property lying on the west side of McMullen Lane and north of Little Cove Road from Residence 1 District and Residence 1A District to Residence 2 District. This was set February 12, 2015 at the regular council meeting. Ms. Nichols?
This property is approximately 143.83 acres. It's located on the west side of McMullen Lane and north of Little Cove Road. The property is currently split zone between Residence 1 and Residence 1A District. The property owner would like to petition that this area be rezoned to Residence 2, which is consistent with the adjacent zoning, which is located here east of the property. It's currently vacant land and will be used as a future addition of the existing subdivision.
Thank you. Does anyone from the public wish to address the council on this particular issue? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Kling, a second by Dr. Showers. Again, Ms. Nichols, could you explain the difference between Residence 1 and 1A and Residence 2 District?
1A and 2, again, the major difference is the lot size. This particular owner, I think initially when they rezoned the property, a portion of the property from 1 to 1A, several years ago, they were interested in having a little bit larger lot. Now they would like to have a more dense subdivision, so that's their reason for petitioning for the Residence 2 District.
So the basic they're just marketing reasons. The market changes and people want different size lots or
Right.
don't want as big a lot as they
Right.
did 10 years ago?
Yes.
Okay. Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. We have no public hearings to be set. We're now at communications from the public. When I call your name, please go to the microphone, state your name, and then you'll have 3 minutes to address the council. Mr. Bobby Hayden.
Good evening. Bobby Hayden, reside at 6032 Normal High Circle. I am here to support the renaming of Church Street Joe Lowry Boulevard. My rationale for supporting the renaming of Church Street to Joe Lowry Boulevard would have to go back to 1809, thanks to John Lowry, who moved from Virginia to Huntsville and set up business in the slave trading business. He operated for some years in this business, but he was an abolitionist. The middle name that Joe Lowry carries, Eccles, was his grandfather's name, who was a slave on the Lowry plantation, which is located off of Meridian Street. After a series of moved by he and his friend Charles G. They stole a slave off a plantation which is now Oakwood College. They arranged to move him to Missouri to try the courts for slaves' freedom. After being in Missouri for a year, they carried Dred Scott before the lower courts all the way to the Supreme Court. In 1857, they ruled a man of African descent cannot sue the government for his freedom. They tried the Missouri Compromise. They ruled the same way. John Lowry gave up slavery. And in the group of slaves he gave up was Eccles, a slave, who later became Leroy Lowry's father. And later Leroy Lowry became Joseph Lowry's father, October the 6th, 1921. Born in the same spirit of his great-grandfather, a challenger for wrongdoers, he was always one who challenged and worked to make life better for each one. While a student at Alabama A&M College, he encouraged his father to participate with other men to create the Negro Boy Scouts of the Tennessee Valley. That went well. He did well until the World War II ended in Europe in 1945. In Alabama, we had 50,000 German refugee POWs at Ellisville, Alabama, in Pickens County. We had 2,000 in Coleman and 200 in Huntsville. One bright sunny afternoon, while on Home Street, young men to carry on conversation said, "Joe, with all that money your father have, you can't go in the post office cafe and purchase a cup of coffee. And the men whom we defeated, captured, made prisoner could go in and out every day."
Mr. Hayden, your time's up. Do you need more time?
I need 2 more minutes.
Councilmember?
Up on that,
Hold on one second, please. Councilmember, is that okay?
Yes, sir.
We'll treat everybody fairly. So, Mr. Hayden, you get 2 more minutes. Please go ahead.
up on that issue, Joe had to leave town because the mob was going to hang him. And he's been away from Huntsville ever since. In Huntsville, there's nothing that resembles men of my complexion, name of street, building, or anything. We paid the ultimate price. As a soldier in Vietnam, they dropped leaflets every day. Brown GI, why are you fighting so hard? You can't buy a sandwich in USA. You are right, I can't buy a sandwich. But I'm fighting because I gave my word. I would defend the Constitution of the United States. And the only thing of value I would ever have is my word. That's why I'm asking you to name Church Street Joseph Lowry Boulevard. If you can't name it Joseph Lowry Boulevard, there's no compromise with another name. I didn't have a compromise in defending the Constitution. I defended it with everything I had. We thank you, and God bless you, and don't let your meatloaf burn.
Thank you, Mr. Hayden. Mr. Ralph Timberlake?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Ralph Timberlake, 2117 Atkins Drive, Huntsville, Alabama, 35810. I must go back and revisit information to make sure I understand what is parity and fairness. I apologize for my woeful ignorance in that arena. However, that does bring about partly of what I want to address this body and the citizens of Huntsville, Alabama, and that is about complying with the open meetings law in Huntsville, Alabama. I do believe that by you being duly elected, you accepted the awesome responsibility to see that all citizens in Huntsville, Alabama is treated with dignity and respect, and that no one unlawfully, and especially under color of law, interdict, impede, banish, or ban any of those rights. There is such an entity that I believe in Huntsville, Alabama, that succumbed and is duly doing this very thing. Unfortunately, it bears the name of Huntsville, and that is the Huntsville Hospital Authority. For numerous years, I have graced this podium, beseeching, begging each one of you to ask the Huntsville Hospital to grant its citizen in general, and this particularly lowly citizen in particular, to allow him to attend their committee meetings to this day. For some reason, they have been able to continue that. So I took the time the other day to acquire this law, the Alabama Open Law of 2005. I entreat you to assist me in alleviating my ignorance by finding the law that supersedes this law that grants Huntsville Hospital this authority to cease and desist, or not to cease and desist from denying citizens the opportunity and privilege to attend those meetings. I believe that is a sacred right as much as voting. It's as a sacred right as much as paying taxes. It's a sacred right as just being an American. As my illustrious veteran, former veteran said before me, as a veteran myself, I fought for justice and freedom and was severely wounded in my endeavor. So I beseech you to ask, and if not, if you can't get the board to do it on its own, when you get ready to allow these people to be nominated, to be confirmed to these boards, ensure that they will be amenable to making those meetings. Thank you very much, and happy Easter.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Jacqueline Reeves.
I'm here again as the president of the Huntsville-Madison County Historical Society and a member of the Hunley family. And I'm here to also tell you that Pat Tuminello sends her regrets that she could not make it tonight. While we agree that there should be a street named for Dr. Lowry, we absolutely agree. If you would consider naming another street for Oscar and Bossy Hunley in accordance with their contributions to this community, we would appreciate that, at least, or some kind of a compromise so that we can use both names. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Albert Peters.
Albert Peters, 1701 Jeanette Circle.
Welcome.
I wanted to talk about something that I think is a matter of public safety, and that's tailgating. That may seem a little odd to you that I would bring up tailgating, but we do need more public awareness of the danger of tailgating. I think that tailgating ranks not far behind driving while intoxicated and texting while driving. Tailgating is dangerous. And yet, if you look at the Parkway or University or some of the other main thoroughfares in Huntsville, you see people a half second behind, or quarter of a second even sometimes, behind the car in front of them. There's no possibility that that person can stop the vehicle if there's something goes wrong up front. Now, some people talk about staying back a car length for each of the 10 miles. If you're going 40 miles per hour, you're supposed to be back 4 car lengths. If you're going 60, 6 car lengths. A better way of doing that for folks that are not old and have their reaction time slowed some is the 2-second rule. You see a car in front of you go by a sign on the street and you say 1001, 1002, 1003. If you get to that sign before you complete 1002 and you're a younger person, then you're going too fast. You're too close. So back off a little bit. For a person my age, they recommend 3 seconds. So when I'm out on the street, I notice a car go by a sign or a mark on the road or a shade, and I say 1001, 1002, 1003. And if I'm closer than 3 seconds, I back off some. Now, if somebody wants to cut in front of me and get a half second behind the car in front of them, they delay me 1/2 second getting to where I'm going. Now, I'm not one of those people that goes down the parkway at 40 miles per hour and everybody's piling up behind me. I might get a ticket sometime because I move on, but I still keep that 3-second distance. So what am I asking? I'm asking that you ask the police force to ticket some folks. I don't know what the law is, but I suspect there's a law or an ordinance that says following too closely is a ticketable offense. Also, we need the media here to make people aware of how dangerous it is to follow too closely. And you just have to, you don't have to go far, and you can see people falling a half second behind when it ought to be at least 2 seconds. So I ask you to ask the police force to enforce whatever ordinances are on the book regarding tailgating. If not sufficient ordinance, that you develop and pass one so that the public is safer. When we have a multi-car
Mr. Peters,
pile up,
your time's up. Do you need more time? Or I was thinking you were going to fix and close, but you keep...
give me another minute, please.
Okay, one more minute. Go ahead.
When you see a multi-car pile up on the Parkway or the University or some other well-traveled street, I think you'll find that the cause of the multi is the tailgating. The initial cause of the accident might be something else, but once somebody has an accident, bang, 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 and it's dangerous for everybody to follow too closely. So I ask you to enforce it. I've even seen 2 police cars so close together that if one of them had something go wrong, the other one would have slammed into them. And I've seen 2 HEMSI ambulances. I was going over to Hampton Cove one afternoon, and I saw 2 HEMSI ambulances just coming down the mountain, and they were within about a quarter of a second, no more than a half a second distance between them. So public awareness, enforcement, more ordinance if need be. But let's stop the tailgating in Huntsville and have a better, safer city.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. President?
Mr. Kling.
Mr. Peters called me earlier today, and I think he's raised some issues, but I'd like to ask, if I don't want to stump anybody right now, but could someone, I guess either the police department, traffic engineering department, legal department, whoever, research and I guess send information to the council and the mayor, I guess, as far as whatever ordinance there is on the books concerning tailgating?
We'll have that to you. Ms. Jackie Reed?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I want to echo everything Mr. Albert Peters said, but I want to add speeders to the tailgating. That needs to be stopped in this city, too. I could be going down Holmes Avenue and it says 40, and I start trying to catch up with them, and I look at the speedometer, and it's past 60. I'll be the one to get the ticket, but I'm trying to tell you, these people will run over you if you don't move over and get out of the way. And we worry about people on bicycles. If I was them, I'd get on the sidewalks and get off the streets. That's what I'd do. Anyway, thank you. I didn't come up here for that, but I agree with Mr. Albert Peters. There is many concerns in the city. I've been told where I work not to tell you all I love you when I get through fussing on you. I told her I'm working for the man upstairs and I have to do that. She says, please quit telling him when you fuss on him, you love him. Don't tell him that. But I do anyway, no matter what. The roads are a nightmare in this city. I have people, I get all my information where I work. Too much of it. The roads are a nightmare. When will our tax dollars that we upped, tax dollars, take care of our roads? Will it all start next year, election year? Is that when we're going to kick in and start millions of dollars going on the roads? The snow didn't cause all this mess. We need to take a look and get out there and do what we need to do to make everybody safe and happy. I'd like to talk about 13A on the agenda about the firefighters' issues, too. I've been told it's a flawed plan, needs more study and listening to by the supervisors before you pass this bill. Also, the police department are raising some cane about what's going on out here, too. So I think you need to bring them all in here and let's work this out. Not the fire department nor the police department. Either one of them are making enough money. I'm not getting in any of their way of trying to make some money. I'm not doing that. I'm thinking you need to look at it and listen to more people before you throw something out there in their face. I think that's what you need to do. I'd like for you to hold 15H, I, and J. And I want to thank Joy McGee and whomever. When I come down Holmes Avenue, it looks like heaven out there. It was such a mess so long that I'm so happy to come down Holmes Avenue. I also want to thank the planning department, inspection department, and the utility this week because I need to learn a lot more about easements and who owns the easements and why we vacate them and who we do what for on these vacation of these easements. I wish sometime we'd have a meeting here with the utilities, inspection, whoever in the variances, because at every meeting on these agendas, we vacate easements. Who owns the utility right-of-ways? The utilities say they don't.
Ms. Reed, your time's up. Do you need more time?
Of course. Thank you. Of course I do.
Go ahead. I knew the answer, but
what a question. Okay, thank you. Anyway, I wish you all would really have a meeting because many utility easements are being. Utility people say they don't own them, that the city does. So if somebody goes in and puts a fence over on all the easement, how are you going to solve this problem? I thought the easement belonged to two people, not one person. Fences are going up. They're shutting off the easements where the utility people can't get through there. But yet they'll go on somebody else's property to do their work. So I know y'all are not interested, but I want to know more about easements in the city. I've been coming here 25 years. I don't know enough about it, and I want to, because you're pitting neighbor against neighbor of not knowing who owns those utility easements. The utility people say they don't. And one more thing, I don't think the utility contractors are reading their meters right either. I know they're not. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. Ms. Cates, could you give a brief explanation of the difference between easement and right-of-way? I think that's what they're concerned about.
Certainly, I'll be glad to. I guess the easiest example would be like the right-of-way is more like your streets and roads, and the easement is more like your utility and drainage easements. If that kind of gives you an example of a little bit better idea, or maybe we can talk afterwards if you've got more specific questions.
So Ms. Reed's basic question, like on the right-of-way, who owns the right-of-way?
The city does.
The city actually owns it?
Yes.
And then a utility easement, who actually owns it?
I'm not sure. I think it's dedicated as a utility easement. And
Mr. Davis, you want to take a shot at this?
A little bit better at that.
Yeah, council members, as Ms. Cates said, public right-of-way is owned by the city, typically the city of Huntsville, or the municipality, or the state of Alabama, depending on who has jurisdiction of the road. An easement can be a little different. Most of the easements that you see in our city, the landowner still owns it. We have acquired a right to use it when we need it, mainly underground for gas, water, sewer, electric. But the top side of it, the grass lawn area or the pavement parking lot area, is still the private property owner's right. We do have some easements that we own fee simple, which means it's for utility purposes only, but we own it outright. So it can be either way on a utility easement. But typically it's owned by the homeowner or landowner, and we have either been granted or purchased a right to use the underground portion of it for utilities.
So I think Ms. Reed's question is utility easement in someone's backyard, and can they put a fence on that utility easement?
Yes, they can. That's typically still the private property owner's property.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. President?
May I ask another question?
Ms. Reed, you're out of order. Mr. Klein?
I think it might be helpful to explain to folks, and Shane, correct me if I'm wrong, but the grass on that easement, the responsibility of cutting that grass, maintaining that grass, that goes with the property owner, not with Huntsville Utilities or with the city. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, you're correct. When we get a right to use that utility and drainage easement, it's typically use the underground portion to just let a utility lie underground. The top side of it, whether it's a parking lot or grass, is the private property owner's responsibility.
Okay, and similar, a tree, let's say a tree has a dead branch on it. The responsibility and maintenance of that tree.
Yes,
cutting it
we
down.
do not own anything above ground. Now, in the same goes if we come in that easement to make a repair to a utility. Both Huntsville Utilities or the city of Huntsville, we have to repair that above ground structure as good or as in light condition as we found it. So if it's naturally a parking lot, we typically repave that, or if it's concrete driveway, we replace that, or if there's sod in the yard, we put sod back.
Thank you, sir.
And if I may, the easement, it's typically that we get to use the easement for the purpose for which it was intended. In other words, if it's a drainage easement, then we use it and maintain it for drainage purposes. And so our duty to maintain it is to maintain it for drainage purposes, so it can be used for that intended purpose. We don't have a responsibility to maintain it for other purposes.
That's
or
correct.
for the property owner's purposes. So.
And councilmembers, I want to add, I think one other thing that I heard Ms. Reed say is a lot of times you see a request for vacation of easement come through this council. We place, just through a zoning ordinance, perpetual for subdivisions, most side lot, rear yard automatically defaults to an easement just as a precautionary. And as that thing develops out and we get all the utilities in place within that community, a homeowner, we may not have a need for that easement. So it's their right to request. It has a channel that goes through. It starts at Huntsville Utilities. It goes to engineering, goes to zoning. Everybody sees if they've got a need for it. We look to see if, maybe AT&T or a private utility, Comcast, is in there. And if we do not have a public need for it, we give it back. And that's just a policy we've always had. But it goes through a process, and a lot get denied. We get a lot of those requests in that they don't make it out of Huntsville Utilities or engineering or for some other reason. But when you see one, it has been vetted through, and most all departments, public and private, has determined there's no public need for it.
Thank you. Councilmembers, any other questions from Mr. Davis? Mr. Davis, will you get with Ms. Reed and make sure you've answered her specific
I
question?
will. Thank you.
Mr. Jerry Cox.
Mr. President, I yield my time.
Thank you, sir. Joseph and Juanita Lee. We need one to speak at a time, so who wants to go first?
Well, she's going to speak then.
And she's going to go first?
No, I'm going to go first.
Okay, Joseph Lee, okay.
Joseph Lee, 5106 Sunrise Trail, Huntsville, Alabama. We are here to support the renaming of a major street in Huntsville for Joseph Lowry. And I think the reason is pretty obvious. In 2001, Atlanta named the street for Joseph Lowry. Joseph Lowry was the founder of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. At the time of the founding, Mr. Lowry was not considered a famous person by most Alabamians, but the truth of the matter, he was born here in Huntsville. And the other truth of the matter, there are quite a few significant individuals dating back to not just the Civil War, not just the Civil Rights era, but also back to Reconstruction, the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, et cetera, that have flavor here in Huntsville. And as was said earlier, we have begun looking at the history of African Americans in Huntsville, but we have really not done it as well as I think we should as a city. Alabama is a premier place in terms of civil rights, but Alabama is also a premier place in terms of Reconstruction and in terms of the history of African Americans in general, particularly if you take into consideration the historically black colleges and universities. There's quite a few things that are significant here in Huntsville that relates to African American history. But going back to the reason we're standing here, we think Joseph Lowry need to be honored by this particular body. The President of the United States honored him with the Presidential Medal of Freedom for his contributions to America. And I think this body should also honor him with the name of a street. My wife probably wants to say something.
Ms. Juanita Lee.
Thank you. I agree with everything my husband Joseph has said, but I also would like to say that Huntsville is a leader in Alabama, as well as a leader in the nation. You have an opportunity to do something that is, in our opinion, the right thing to do. And the nation and the state and the city is looking to you for the leadership that you've been elected to do. So we're just here to urge you on to do the things that you do so very well. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Sherry Saunders.
Sherry Saunders, 6231 East Upper River Road, Somerville, Alabama.
Welcome.
It's in Morgan County. I'd like to read this statement that I have written out for you. Thank you for the opportunity to stand before the constituents of the City of Huntsville and its political leaders to discuss briefly the upcoming campaign of purposeful negotiations and much-needed investigations backed by myself and the Committee to Protect the Homeless organization. Last week, I attempted to gain a reprieve of a shut-off of utilities at Huntsville Utilities for a local young mother of 2 children under 2 years of age. She lives off of Drake Avenue. Her husband has left her and the marriage with unpaid electrical bills and rent. I was unable to bring a solution to this young family that is satisfactory for them up to this point. So I come before you to ask for your attention to the plight of the endangered pre-homeless or circumstantial indigent population that with positive community-based relief for emergency needs can be rehabilitated quickly, keeping these endangered individuals or families from becoming tomorrow's new clients of our local nonprofits like Natch or the Downtown Rescue Mission. In the coming weeks, I will present a plan of action to remedy these situations, and I am eager to hear your feedback on this matter. And secondly, I will announce a new initiative for integration into our community called the Citizens Review Board. A brief description of its agenda is to allow for transparent and open dialogue and negotiations between the elected or non-elected city officials, its judicial branches, including the police and court systems, with the common everyday man or woman on the streets of Huntsville. The truth of Madison County and the Huntsville and City of Madison respectfully is this. Multiple agencies are investigating the civil rights violations rampant across this county in many areas of governance. Our organization, the CPH, was contacted by an authoritative outside agency to give an assessment of the allegations of misconduct on a grassroots, ground-based level. I am the lead investigator, and I answer only to Rodney Cole, Executive Director of the CPH, with my results. I will be requesting a similar assessment of this city's police agency like the Ferguson, Missouri investigations and a thorough assessment of its judicial branch for any biased behavior or misconduct. These investigations will be monitored by the outside agency requesting this study due to some concerns for safety and fear of backlash by myself. With the extremely sensitive nature of the discussions of evidence or written interviews, I ask for your acceptance of my role in this matter, and I hope to establish open and transparent relationships with all parties involved. I trust that my past dialogues with you reassure you that my intention is to assist this great city to be better tomorrow and even better the day after that. By now, most of you are aware of my lawsuit in Madison Circuit Court with my past employer, Huntsville Hospital, over
Ma'am,
civil
do you
rights.
need more time?
I need approximately 1 minute.
Thank you. You have it. Go ahead.
Thank you. By now, most of you are aware of my lawsuit in the Madison Circuit Court with my past employer, Huntsville Hospital, over civil rights violations and other employment-related matters. I want you to understand this. Workplace bullying and violence is a serious problem, and I have made it a personal mission to assist in its eradication. Having said that, let me say this. Both of these issues are systemic with authoritative agencies like our hospitals, police departments, or courts that hold all the power and carry none of the responsibility of misbehavior. I feel positive that these issues can be resolved with supportive effort and negotiations by all parties included. Thank you for your time. Sherry Saunders.
Thank you. Ms. Regina Colson.
President Russell, Mayor Battle, to the honorable lady and gentlemen of the council, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to speak in support. My name is Regina Colston, 6412 Flow Drive. I'm here to support the renaming of Church Street in honor of Reverend Joseph Lowry. There's a reason why there is that rocket on 565. It says that we are very advanced as a people. And what we're asking today is that we be advanced as human beings and recognize the contributions of all our citizens. Dr. Lowry is responsible because of his work on the great civil rights battlefields in the state of transforming not only Alabama and the United States, but around the world. At Tiananmen Square, the Solidarity Movement, they said things like, I have a dream, and saying, we shall overcome. We should be unanimous in making sure that we honor this great man, because when we honor Dr. Lowry, we also honor Huntsville, because he came out of the red clay of Alabama. So I appeal to you, do the right thing as people of vision, the morally right thing, because you've taken a lot from the black community. You took downtown under the guise of urban renewal from black people. You put A&M out on the periphery of the city. So give us this. All we're asking for now is a street. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We don't have any Huntsville utility items, but there was a question a citizen brought up, and I have a question. Mr. Curtis, can you come down, please? You heard the question concerning a family that couldn't pay their utility bill and some of the problems it caused. Could you go over, for the public's benefit, some of the programs that are available for citizens and that are having a problem?
There's a number of agencies, mostly faith-based in the community, that will help families in need of assistance. I couldn't tell you most of the specifics standing at the mic right now, but I would be happy to speak with Ms. Saunders about that.
Okay.
But there are, and she may have attempted to go through those channels. I would need to know a little more specifics about this situation to be able to look into it further, but I'm very happy to do that.
Okay, thank you. And my second question is, today, we had the privilege of listening to Governor Bentley discuss his solutions to the $700 million general fund shortage of our, that our state faces.
Yes, sir.
He stressed the solutions should be fair taxes and ones that made sense to the public and most of our citizens could agree with. One of his proposals is to eliminate the license tax exemption of 2.2% on municipal utilities. Speaking on behalf of the council and the people we represent, we believe your services, Huntsville Utilities, are a basic need, and we see no reason to increase those costs without adding any value to the customers that use it. Is Huntsville Utilities, is your opinion, is this tax fair, and what is Huntsville Utilities' position?
In our opinion, no, it is not fair, and we are opposed to this idea. There is a bill at the State House, House Bill 276, that will be coming before the committee that will, I guess, debate it in a few weeks. But we have done some analysis of the bill, and for several reasons, we would not characterize it as fair, some of which you already framed up yourself. This is government taxing government. For people who may be listening that don't know, we are an arm of the city of Huntsville, even though financially we have a great deal of separation. But in that separation is our sole reliance on our customers and the rates that they pay for the utilities that we serve them. We don't put any tax burden on the city or the state, nor do we receive any revenue from the city or the state. Our infrastructure is solely funded on our customers. So, as you said when you asked the question, what benefit do our customers gain by this exemption being lifted? And none that we can see. There has been no plan announced to use any of this added revenue to the state to make our system more robust, or any municipal system across the state. And that's something we want to be very clear on. This does not just affect the customers of Huntsville Utilities, but any customer of any municipal utility across the state of Alabama. And through our analysis, we can't find any distinction between electric, water, sewer, and natural gas. Now, of those four, two of these are essential services for life, and that's the water and the wastewater piece. So you're taxing people on something that they have to have. There's some argument out there relative to the fairness comment and the fact that customers of investor-owned utilities are paying, those utilities are paying this license tax. It's apples and oranges. We are a not-for-profit municipal public entity, and while we do business, we are not a business. We are a service organization to the residents of this community, as is any municipally owned utility. So it's not fair to compare a business that has a responsibility to shareholders with a focus on profit margin to a not-for-profit municipally owned entity. So based on our calculations, and there are some things about the bill that are unclear, and I think the committee that will discuss this bill in Montgomery will clear some of these things up. But our math shows that our customers would bear about a $13 million cost annually to the state of Alabama if this bill passes. So if you're a Huntsville Utilities customer or a customer of any municipal utility across the state, and you think this is a bad idea, we urge you to let your elected representatives at the state level know it. We are going to fight this one as hard as we can.
Thank you. And my memory is United Way did a survey, and the number one need in our community was lower utility rates, that people were having trouble paying the utility bills. And that's what struck me is the governor's not choosing to do sales tax because the reason it affects the poor at a greater percent than it does. I mean, it seems to affect the poor greater than it does the rich. And this seems to be the same way, that we all have to pay utilities, and this is going to seem to affect the people that are struggling more than it is the people that are not.
It's most certainly regressive in that regard, because it would be a 2.2% addition to our gross receipts, which would have to be that our customers would have to bear that burden because we are a not-for-profit municipal entity. What's particularly distressing in that regard to us is that it does not spread evenly, because we have customers that receive more services than others. For instance, we may have a customer that obviously they receive city sewer, but they're getting all three of the services that we provide, electric, water, and gas. So they'd be paying this 2.2% on every service they receive. So in that matter, and especially in the older parts of the city where we do have all services available and we have customers that receive all three and sewer from the city, that's not fair or equitable, not in our opinion.
Councilmembers, do you have any questions?
Yes.
Mr. Culver first, then we'll go to Mr. Kling.
Thank you. Not a question, just more of a comment, and I want to address a couple of things. The lady who spoke previously, as it relates to her needs, I certainly am in. I share your view in terms of not raising the taxes. In fact, one of the boards that this body, this council, appointed me to, which is the Community Action Partnership Board, ma'am, and we help folk with utilities and rent assistance and other needs. This organization, in fact, when we're talking about enhancing the quality of life for people, this organization is, in my opinion, one of the foundations that contribute to that. And along those same lines, we get federal funding, LIHEAP funds, that we use to help people who need utility assistance in the winter and in the extreme heat of the summer. And those funds have been cut. Those federal funds have been cut. So to have a tax that's going to put even more burden on people who fall in that category is definitely regressive. So we certainly want to really look at that and do all that we can to prevent that from happening. And to digress and go back to your inquiry, ma'am, if you will call Community Action Agency at 256-851-9800. Anything that we can do to help that family, and when I say that, we don't have a lot of money, but we do prioritize the needs of our residents and do as much as we can to help them. And I would be remiss also, Dr. Showers, if I could borrow your term, if I didn't say what you all do at Huntsville Utilities in terms of the monies that you expend in terms of helping folk. I just sent 2 families to you all this week, and you all have always been able to help folk where there is an ascertainable need. So we can put you in touch with other civic organizations and church groups that will also step up to the plate. And there are several in Huntsville. And if we can't help you, if we just don't have the money at Community Action Partnership, we'll do our best to put you in touch with some of the other organizations who may have some funding available. Having said that, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kling.
Let me reiterate what I think Mr. Gertis and Mr. Culver have already said, but I think y'all are going to work to try to see if some relief can be provided specifically to the mother with children that was previously referenced.
Yes, sir.
Certainly, I think that would be a good thing.
Ma'am, you're out of order. Ma'am, you're out of order.
Okay,
Mr. Kling.
Okay, but anyway, that was one thing I was going to say. Something else on this other tax. It seems like it's going to impact Huntsville perhaps a little bit more than some of the other cities around the state. But I think it was several months ago we were talking about the 10-year, $450 million road package that had been carried over for years and years to Huntsville, Madison County, and then that was pulled away. And I know they say, well, we don't have enough money, and things kind of tightened up a little bit. I've got some old Alabama bonds that were purchased by my father when George Wallace was governor, the second time that he was governor. And that was something that took place in the 80s. And, things have gotten tight, but those bonds, they keep paying the dividend interest that they're supposed to year in, year out. State government makes a commitment to a city, to taxpayers, it should keep its word. So we've already gotten hosed one time by the state, and, I think certainly you guys are waving a very important, very good flag about, the impact that this would have on our ratepayers in the community. And it is regressive, similar to a sales tax, and I certainly hope everyone gets behind you on that.
Thank you, Mr. Kling.
Mr. Kling, thank you, Mr. Kling. Dr. Showers, did you wish to comment? Dr. Robinson? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We have several board appointments to be voted on. We have a resolution to appoint James Tony Smith to the Educational Building Authority of the City of Huntsville, Alabama, Alabama A&M University for a term to expire November 10th, 2015.
Move to approve.
Motion by Dr. Showers, second by Mr. Culver. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. We have a resolution to appoint Kristen Boddicker to the Barrett Memorial Committee for a term to expire October 1st, 2016. The chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Dr. Showers. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. 3 is a resolution to reappoint Byram Goodwin to the Huntsville-Madison County Mental Health Board, place number 10, for a term to expire April 1st, 2021.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Robinson, second by Dr. Showers. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. 4 is a resolution to reappoint Joanne Mormon to the Huntsville-Madison County Mental Health Board, place number 11, for a term to expire April 1st, 2021.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Robinson, second by Mr. Culver. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. 5 is a resolution to reappoint Elizabeth Smith to the Huntsville-Madison County Mental Health Board, place number 12, for a term to expire April 1st, 2021.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Robinson, second by Dr. Showers. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. 6 is a resolution to reappoint Connie Keltner to the Huntsville Tennis Center Board of Control for a term to expire November 28, 2018.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Culver, second by Mr. Kling. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. 7 is a resolution to reappoint Joyce LeDuc Hampton to the Bingo Review Committee for a term to expire April 8, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kling, second by Mr. Culver. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. 8 is a resolution to reappoint Betty Gaylor to the Community Development Citizens Advisory Council for a term to expire April 14, 2018.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kling, second by Mr. Culver. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. 9 is a resolution to reappoint Barbara Fleming to the Community Development Citizens Advisory Council for a term to expire April 14, 2018.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kling, second by Mr. Culver. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. We have several nominations. We have a nomination of William Tominello for appointment to the Bingo Review Committee for a term to expire April 8, 2017, made by Mr. Kling. We have a nomination of James Bailey for reappointment to the Bingo Review Committee for a term to expire April 8, 2017, by Mr. Culver. The chair moves to reappoint Fred Rodrigue to the Bingo Review Committee, representative of District 2, for a new term to expire 4/18/17. And I also move to appoint Gail Basilok to the Beautification Board for a term to expire 10/1/2017. Are there other nominations tonight?
President, I move to appoint Patricia King to the Community Development Board.
Patricia King to the Community Development Board?
Right.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? We're now at 10, approval of expenditures. 10A is a resolution authorizing expenditures for payment. Dr. Showers.
Mr. President, I move to submit for payment $7,535,880.85.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion by Dr. Showers, second by Mr. Kling. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. Dr. Showers, do you have a Finance Committee report?
Yes, Mr. Taylor.
Council members, Councilman Showers, the only thing I have to tell you tonight is just a quick update on our debt issuance plans. We reported at the last meeting what our status was, and you actually approved an action that would allow the mayor to proceed forward, subject to council's ratification of a final deal. As I indicated last time, we're not in a position to have done anything by this council meeting. We didn't think we would, so you approved that just in case. We do think that we'll be ready to go into the marketplace next week or the week after. So it will be before the next council meeting as we see it right now. So the action that you took to give the mayor authority to proceed is what he'll use to approve that deal. The market rates have improved a little bit, which is good for us. It means that we'll save interest dollars over time. We are thinking that we're going to reduce the amount of the issue just a little bit for some refinements that we continue to make. So all of that is proceeding, and we'll let you know more information. The most important thing, however, about what's happened since we last met was that the ratings that have been released by the city. The mayor's office has released several press releases concerning that. Moody's issued a AAA rating for the city about 10 days ago, and Standard & Poor's followed a few days later and issued a AAA rating as well. So that's been 7 years in a row that we've achieved that rating through difficult times and those that have been better. And so we're very pleased with that. We're pleased what it says first about Huntsville and also about what it says about your management of the city. And so we're very pleased with that, and that will also serve to reduce the cost of our projects and what we need to do for the citizens. It will reduce their costs. So thank you. That's all I have.
Mr. Taylor.
Yes, sir.
In looking at the items that we have for payment, I had some concerns about some of the payments. I want to give you a list of descriptions and invoices that I would like for you to supply me with the building tickets for each one of these invoices. I will call them out to you. I can do that now, or we can do it tomorrow morning.
If there's a number of them, sir,
is-
it'd be easier probably for me
of
just to
them.
get a list that you've marked, and we can go from there.
I've got a list, and I'll just provide that with you tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Mr. President, that's all we have for tonight.
Thank you very much, Dr. Showers. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. We're now at communications from the mayor. Mayor Battle.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would first like to make an appointment. The interim director of traffic engineering is Dan Sanders. Dan, thank you very much for taking on that responsibility in the department, and he is coming in after Richard Kramer's death, which we all mourn in the city, more than, gosh, lots of years of service there. So, Dan, you're stepping into big footsteps. Thank you for taking that on.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Before we go to your next, could we see who that person that is going to take Mr. Kramer's place? Is he here tonight?
Yes, sir. He sure is. Dan, would you come to the microphone, please? He's been addressing the council over the past several months as Mr. Kramer's been through the illness and everything, and has done a great job. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you. Dan Sanders, Traffic Engineering.
Thank you.
And if I could comment on that, Mr. President, for just a minute, please. Dan has been very instrumental in what we have going on in District 5. I certainly appreciate you coming out and helping to resolve some matters in the district, as I know you do in other districts of the city. And I hope you can find the time to help us out this coming Tuesday as well, if you get an opportunity, or at least a representative of yours for our town hall meeting, March 31st at 6 o'clock in Old Cobblestone.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mayor, do you have anything else?
Oh, yes, sir. I'm sorry. I also have the appointment of Kimberly Ford as supernumerary member of the Board of Zoning Adjustments for a 3-year term to expire March 9th, 2018. Dr. Sam Ike to the Animal Services Advisory Committee for a term to expire September 8th, 2015. Jeannie Hudson to the Animal Services Advisory Committee for a term to expire September 8th, 2015. Many of you might see my tie tonight. This is not for a college team. This is for the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus that's in town. We had the opportunity to eat lunch with the elephants today. I will say they are not the cleanest eaters in the world, but they were they did do the job. They ate a ton of food real quick. But the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus is in town for the next couple of days, and what a great show, and what thing that I think a lot of us have memories of in our lifetime, and we'd like to encourage everybody to attend. Also, Saturday is the grand opening of Southside Park on Cheney Thompson Road on Saturday. That is our new park that we were talking to Commissioner Riddick about, that we are doing in conjunction with Madison County, the Madison County Commission, and it's great to have a partner like the Madison County Commission and have partnership with them. As I mentioned, Steve Haraway came 2 weeks ago and gave us a check to help with paving and road construction in the western side of the county, and that's also a partnership with Madison County and the Madison County Commission, and we thank them for that. Also, at the Museum of Art, this is Youth Art Month this month, and if you want to see some great art done by some students in the Huntsville, Madison County, Madison schools, you ought to go down, because it is really astounding as what they do for us. And there's also an exhibit down there, the Audubon prints, the original Audubon prints. Bill Told, who is from Vermont in Florida, came in and has let us use his collection of 40 Audubon pictures, which are down there, and very great paintings, and I would suggest that everybody go and visit those. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mayor Battle. Council members, I wasn't able to check our rules fast enough, but I believe we have to approve Kim Ford's appointment to the Board of Zoning Adjustments. So, council members, I'm going to take that by acclamation. I didn't hear anyone object to the mayor's appointment. Are we okay with that? Thank you very much. Mr. Culver.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple of things real quickly. Governor Bentley's press conference this morning, I certainly thanked him for coming to Huntsville. As we know, who have lived here in Huntsville for a long period of time, that Alabama, for all practical purposes, didn't exist north of the Warrior River. So this particular governor has made several trips to North Alabama, and I'm certainly looking forward to working with him, although I may not be in agreement with everything. And just for the district that I represent, I did pose the question to him as it relates to the road money for widening 72 West from Providence to County Line Road. And I feel confident and certain that at some future time we will get those monies back in the budget. Also, I've liked some of the things that the governor proposed, especially as it relates to some of the taxes that are leaving our community or that we're not taking advantage of, like some of the insurance companies who get, a $40 million tax exempt. I don't know why that's happening when other insurance agencies are not getting that, and I won't call the name of them for that reason. And some of the other revenues that are going to be generated, revenues that the banks are not paying, that's going to generate a few $1 million a year. So there are a lot of good things in there. I don't know if most of you are smokers or not, but cigarettes will go up in his proposed plan by 82.5 cents a pack, which could generate about $205 million in the course of a year. So there's a lot that he's proposing there, but enough about the governor for right now. I want to switch my attention to another thing that happened today that's very, that is a good thing for Huntsville, not just in District 5. Retired county chairman Mike Gillespie has been hired to lead the master plan in Commons Research Park. And that is a board that I serve on as well, and we have a lot of challenges, especially with the Gateway and with Redstone actually wanting their subcontractors to be on post and or closer to them. So there have been some vacancies in Commons Research Park. At one time, the occupancy rate was at about 97%. Well, over the last year or two, it has dropped to about 85 to 87%. So we see there's a need for us to go back and revisit and maybe revise. And when I say that, doesn't mean that we're going to change any of the zoning. I want people to not panic from that perspective, but we're just looking at trying to bring in more business and sustain the businesses that are there. And I couldn't think of a better person than Mr. Mike Gillespie to lead that master plan. On another note, on Tuesday, March 31st, will be our first town hall meeting for this year. It will be at 6 o'clock, and I've put a cap on it from 6 o'clock until 7:30. And Mayor, again, I'm asking the, John, Mr. Hamilton, the applicable department heads that I think you've already identified to come and help us out. If they can't make it, to maybe send one of their designees. It is open to the public from 6 p.m. until 7:30 p.m. at Old Cobblestone, which is located at 8565 Bellwood in the Cobble Creek subdivision, or the Cobblestone subdivision. If you need directions or something, perhaps we can help you with that through Google Map or something along those lines. So look forward to all of you being there who can, and it is open to the public. And Ms. Reed, you are certainly welcome to come as you always do. That's all I have, Mr. President. Thank you so kindly.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Kling.
Thank you, Mr. President. During the month of March, I have been doing my postcard survey that I've been doing for the last couple of years during the month of March. It's a self-improvement thing, gives me a chance to hear from people on ideas, how we can improve city government, things that we can do a little bit better. And I've been distributing these at restaurants around the city, at veteran fraternal lodges. Also, we did have some here at City Hall. There's some on 7th floor. The ones in the lobby I noticed are gone. We've had them at the library, but it's a chance for people to give me their opinion. Don't particularly care what district you live in, and it's ideas. You may have some ideas about some of the issues that we're discussing at City Hall. Additionally, one of the lines on here, which is very appropriate this time of the year, talks about needed street or drainage repairs. And before the council meeting, I did talk with Terry Hatfield, our Public Works Director, and Terry is aware that there is some street issues out there, but he is waiting until the cold weather moves out, things dry out, and then they can go in and make more permanent repairs. I think, as I understand it, Terry, the weather is supposed to drop down to the low 30s tonight, tomorrow, and high 30s, Saturday night. So we do have some cold weather that still needs to pass, but I know he is aware of that. But if anyone who wants to, a lot of restaurants are over at City Hall on the 7th floor. We have these. I'm always glad to hear from people. Good perspective, things I can do to do my job a little bit better. Also, on the third Monday of each month, I have my monthly town meeting. Again, don't care what district you live in. Come on out. It's 7 o'clock. It's at the public library downtown, and they're very informal, and it's a good learning session, and we do have a lot of good discussions from people out there who do participate. That's all I have, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kling. Dr. Showers.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to announce that this Friday, tomorrow, I will be representing the mayor and the council. Captain Sanders with the Madison County Division will be retiring. His ceremony will be at the Cahaba Shrine, located at 1226 Blake Bottom Road. Also, Robert V. Franklin Jr. will be celebrating a birthday on Saturday, and of course I will attend that and again represent the mayor and council. We will have our annual meeting of TARCOG, Board of Directors. That meeting will be at 6 o'clock on Tuesday. April the 2nd, on a Thursday night, I want to thank our president, the mayor, this council, for agreeing to honor again Oakwood University. They are having their annual UNCF Gala that Thursday night at 5:30. They're having a reception at the North Hall. And of course, on Saturday, April the 4th, again, we'll be representing the mayor, council, by bringing greetings to the Oakwood University Alumni Weekend group that will be here in our city. Encourage all to attend that opportunity. Is the chief of police here tonight? The Huntsville Times has made it very obvious that we've had some situations to happen in the last week in our city that certainly saddens our heart. Could you give the council and mayor a brief status of where we are with those incidents that took place a week ago? We've had several shootings. And I would ask if you could give us a status on those shootings that took place here in our city.
Yes, sir.
Lewis Morris, Police Chief. The weekend, or between March 13th and 15th, are the dates, we experienced a spike in shootings. Some of them, the majority of them, the individuals were not seriously injured and they transported themselves to the hospital. The victims in those cases have been largely uncooperative with the police. I can't say that all of the cases were related. Some of the cases were related, and we determined that based on information that we have obtained from the public coming forward. And I think that's a very important thing to note, that we've solved some of these cases and determined who the parties involved in, who they are, and we've actually made 2 arrests today in a shooting that happened on March 17th on Union Drive, and determined that was connected to a shooting that happened earlier on the 15th. I'm very proud that we have a relationship with the public where they feel comfortable to come and provide us with that information that resulted in us solving those cases. But we've determined that it's this, in at least 4 of them, it's the same individuals involved, and some of the victims in one cases are actually the offenders in others. So we're working to resolve those and get them solved. But we did make 2 arrests today.
Thank you.
Yes.
I want to announce tonight that we have been delighted that the North Huntsville Business Association is alive and doing well. And I'll be remiss if I would not say to Dr. Robinson her help and support with this organization. And of course, we very soon, when our schedules will permit, we're going to have a joint meeting of the South Association and the North Association. We met on yesterday at 2 o'clock at the Lakewood Baptist Church. Had a tremendous turnout of representatives who are concerned about all of Huntsville, North Huntsville especially, dilapidation, empty buildings, and of course sites that we believe that is of interest, that we're going to do a campaign to start displaying on social media the opportunities that exist in North Huntsville. Some of the members of our Economic Development Committee from our North Huntsville committee, a group of men and women that meet on Mondays. Some of them are here tonight. I want to commend Dr. Cleveland and Dr. Johnson. He and others that are here tonight have been a tremendous asset in moving us to where we are with the North Business Association. And Huntsville will be the beneficiary of this organization, of both the North Association and the South Association. We have some similar needs in both ends of town. And I want to just thank the pastor of Lakewood Baptist Church, who have allowed us to use his facility each Wednesday at 2 o'clock. I would be remiss if I would not say this tonight. I too attended the meeting this morning at the chamber where our governor made comments about his campaign for making sure that Alabama would stay current financially. I was impressed with some of the comments that he made, and certainly was very delighted to have had the opportunity to hear him say some things that I thought were very positive for the future of Alabama. Mr. President, that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Showers. Dr. Robinson.
want to join the mayor and others in thanking Commissioner Phil Riddick for his partnership with the city. I've had the opportunity to work with him now on a number of projects, and he truly is a great partner and just a lot of fun to work with. This Saturday, as has been mentioned, is the ribbon cutting for Southside Park. Our whole family is excited about this park. My daughter's looking forward to the dog park. My son looks forward to the disc golf course. I'm looking forward to having bathrooms on the greenway. There is truly something for everyone. Also, thanks and congratulations to Bill Rourke and his team at Torch Technologies. I attended their groundbreaking of their new campus last week, and it's really an exciting project, not only opening up new corporate office space on the South Parkway, but also a 350-seat conference center, which will be a tremendous asset. It was a strategic risk and a strategic intent to make that investment in that particular location, and it really strengthens the South Parkway business neighborhood there. And as Councilman Showers mentioned, there are great opportunities all along the Parkway, North Parkway and South Parkway, and this is certainly one example of somebody who is willing to make those investments to make our area grow. On April 14th, we're going to have a meeting of the South Huntsville Business Association at 3 o'clock. Continue to have the conversations about what we can do to grow businesses such as Torch and to continue our economic development efforts. I'm also putting together a survey for those businesses. It's going to come out on SurveyMonkey via email, but others might be interested in answering it as well, so that will be coming around. On April 15th at 6 o'clock, we're going to have a follow-up to the big picture conversation that was held last summer about the future of Ditto Landing. Those comments were all taken, and over the course of the last few months, we've begun to see a wonderful long-range plan emerge that will really create a destination recreation site there along Ditto Landing. There's been conversation for years about why doesn't the city do something with Ditto? Well, this is an opportunity to make it happen, and it will be open to the public, and everybody's going to be welcome to come and see that on April 15th at 6 o'clock. In addition to great things going on at Ditto, I've had the opportunity to visit Botanical Garden and also the Art Museum to see the great things that are going on there. Both organizations have benefited from a long-range plan, just as Ditto will, and have become really tremendous assets to this community. I'm so excited about the programs I've seen there and their plans for the future as great things continue to happen. And then finally, congratulations to our finance team and to the entire city for those AAA bond ratings from Moody's and Standard & Poor's. When I was at the National League of Cities meeting last November, I attended a session on bond issues, and they talked about AAA bond ratings. And the comment was made in that meeting how rare it is for a city to get a AAA bond rating. And they asked, is anybody in this room here, all you folks, you mayors and city council people from all over the city who are attending, how many of your cities have a AAA bond rating? There were 3 of us in a room of about 100 who raised our hands. So it is a really, really unique thing to have that, and we should not take it for granted. In fact, I think it was the Moody's notice that we got, there was a little section in there that said, if you want to maintain this bond rating, here's some very specific things you need to do. And there's steps that our finance team takes every day to protect that rating. So kudos to all of you, and thanks for the work you do.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson. Council members and the public, we will have a personnel hearing on April 9th at 4 o'clock in these chambers, and also a personnel hearing April 16th at 5 o'clock in these chambers. I'll remind the council members April 9th, we also have a city council meeting that night at 6 o'clock. 13 is unfinished business items for action. 13A is ordinance number 15-155, amending ordinance number 8979, classification and salary plan ordinance to provide parity of compensation between positions within the police and fire departments. This was introduced March 12, 2015 at the regular council meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Culver. Is there a second?
Second.
A second by Dr. Showers. Discussion?
Yes, Mr. President.
Mr. Culver.
The firefighters were not able to be here tonight, and I promised them that we will not do anything with this in their absence. And also, the mayor and his administration are looking at an audit. So with that being said, I'm going to ask that we table this.
Second.
Mr. Culver has made a motion to table this item, and Mr. Kling has seconded it. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? The motion has been tabled. Ordinance number 15-156, amending Chapter 8, Article 4, Taxi Cabs and Limousines of the City of Huntsville, Alabama, Code of Ordinances. This was introduced March 12, 2015 at the regular council meeting. The chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kling. Mr. Brown, could you explain this, please?
I will, Mr. President. What we've done is taken a rather comprehensive look at our vehicle for hire ordinance. There's several things in that ordinance that we've tweaked, and there are several things, four in particular, that are fairly significant changes that I want to brief the council on just a little bit. And what we've done is we've taken a particular close look at the developing technology in the transportation field, and we've also taken a look at emerging needs in the community. And so those two things were sort of our focus as we went through this. So the first new thing that'll be added to this ordinance, if you approve it, is a dedicated wheelchair accessible vehicle. This is generally speaking a passenger van with a wheelchair lift on it that will allow transportation providers to provide transportation for disabled people, senior citizens. That allows people to remain independent. As we're living longer, we're staying healthier. It allows folks to remain independent. These transportation services will be for medical appointments, grocery shopping, those kinds of things. We've got several folks already that are providing those businesses. We've got several that are in line to step up and do that. So I think this, moving forward, is an important addition to our ordinance. Second thing are luxury vehicles, also known as black car services. These are sort of an upgrade from a taxi cab, but something just lower than a limousine, executive transportation type services. They'll be provided to the airport, back for executive travel, that kind of thing. These are by the hour type services, and is something that we've also got people that are wanting to get into this business that are waiting in the wings for this ordinance to hopefully be passed to fulfill that need in our community. Special shuttle is the third category, and that is a small bus type vehicle. It will not be operated on a fixed route, but they are 25 passenger or below type vehicles that will provide transportation for weddings, parties, special events, and that kind of things. We get quite a demand for transportation for large groups of people. So it's more on the line of a limousine the way it operates. It's prearranged. It's charged by the hour, but it's a larger vehicle and a little different type of service that I think the community needs, and that we're having the providers step forward to do. The third category is transportation network vehicles. This category includes services like Uber, Lyft, Sidecar. Currently, those types of services are not authorized under our current ordinance as it stands. If you pass this ordinance, they will be authorized to operate in Huntsville. We've looked at quite a few cities' ordinances. We spent quite a lot of time looking at this particular element of the ordinance. There's no question that technology is changing in the transportation business. There's no question that app-based services are going to be more prevalent, whether they be taxi-based app services, transportation network vehicle-based app services, or others that are out there. So no question this technology is coming along. This ordinance looked at that specifically to update, looking into the future, so that we could allow those services to operate here as they came forward and felt like it was in their best interest from a business standpoint to do so. Two critical areas we've looked at here that are very important. First, of course, is public safety. We want to make sure that any services that operate first and foremost considers public safety, and I think we've done a good job in doing that. And secondly, we want to make sure that any services that operate on a level playing field with other transportation providers that are currently operating. So if this ordinance is passed, it authorizes those four new services. and we feel like that these are important for the community, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Council members, do you have questions? Mr. Kling.
Mr. Brown, is there anything in this ordinance that even down the line would make it more restrictive for taxi cabs to, get licenses for more vehicles or more taxi cab companies to come into?
No, actually, this ordinance will make it easier for taxi cabs to add cabs to their service, and it will authorize. The ordinance already authorizes my department to approve so many additional taxi cabs for an existing service. This maintains that, but the tweaks that we've made on the taxi cab side of this are relatively minor. I might add that we met with the taxi cab company managers. We met with other stakeholders as well, which I want to give a shout out to in a minute. But we've met with the taxi cab managers. They have a copy of this. We've gone through it with them in a meeting, and got a few responses and a bit of interest. But seeing that there's no taxi operators, I don't think here tonight is, in my opinion, a good sign that they're okay with it.
Is there going to be anything in the ordinance that would provide for more handicap accessible taxi cabs in the community? I think I've been told that they're just like 2 or 3 for the entire community.
Well, actually, there's one that I'm aware of, one taxi cab that's wheelchair accessible. That's something that we would like to see more of. We worked very closely with Phoenix Industries to get that vehicle in operation. All indications from that manager are it's been very successful. Again, this is something we want to encourage, but it's a business decision that the taxi companies have to make, whether that's a market that they want to delve into. One thing that this ordinance does do is the dedicated wheelchair accessible vehicle, while that might be a per trip based cost, it is certainly something that's very similar to a taxi cab, wheelchair lift equipped taxi cab. So this is adding additional services that will help our seniors and our disabled community.
Don't taxi cab companies and us as the license authority have to comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act?
There are sections of the Americans with Disabilities Act that apply, but there are also exemptions for private operators, and I'm not up to speed enough on that to really talk to it specifically tonight. But there are stringent requirements for us as a city relative to ADA and transportation. They are much less so on private providers.
Is this ordinance going to hurt ridership on the shuttle bus system?
I don't think it will hurt at all. What it may do, I mean, by providing more wheelchair accessible vehicles out there, it may take some of the burden off of our handy ride side, which is we struggle to meet that demand on a daily basis. So having other options available for people will certainly help us on that side. And it just gives people more options of the service. We don't operate on at night and weekend. These vehicles, if I were doing it, I would operate on nights and weekends. So it's gonna add some things to the mix that I think are going to be a positive thing for our disabled community.
But again, as far as we talked about nights and weekend services, Chase Industrial Park or whatever. Nothing in here mandates that. It's still private enterprise, their decision, but we're not mandating that they provide that type of service.
No, this is the vehicle for hire ordinance, which sets out the rules and regulations under which private providers can operate and use the public streets for transportation.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. I have a couple questions. First of all, I compliment you on being proactive and looking at these issues. I hate to admit, but I've never ridden in an Uber car. I must be over 50 now, but my children love them and they talk about them, and it seems to be what the 20 to 30-year-olds all ride in.
Mine as well.
Yeah, so I compliment you on taking that. I know they're a stakeholder in this. Have you been able to talk to them? Have they given you any feedback on what they're looking for as far as regulations in a city?
Well, we've had conversations with with one of the transportation network vehicle companies. They have a business model under which they like to operate. We've taken a look at that. We've taken a look at other cities' ordinances, how other cities are responding to that, and developed this ordinance to the best of our ability in order to ensure public safety, yet allow that service to operate here. So I think we've accomplished that in this ordinance.
Thank you. Council members, any other questions for Mr. Brown before we vote? Call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries.
Mr. President, I would just like to say this. In addition to the taxi managers, Claudia Anderson from legal did the yeoman's work on this. John Hamilton, representing the mayor's office, has been deeply involved. HPD, clerk treasurer's office, airport authority. There's a lot of stakeholders that have been involved in this, and we very much appreciate their help, and we'll move forward with it. Thank you.
And again, we thank you for putting all those people together. C is ordinance number 15-157, amending ordinance number 8979, classification and salary plan ordinance. This was introduced March 12, 2015 at the regular council meeting.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Shower, second by Dr. Robinson. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. D is ordinance number 15-158, amending budget ordinance number 14-665 to modify the authorized strength in various departments.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Shower, second by Dr. Robinson. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. E is ordinance number 15-159, adopting of new base map sheets 08-16, 10-02, 11-02, 12-03, and 12-14 to be made part of the official City of Huntsville, Alabama zoning maps.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Robinson, second by Mr. Culver. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. F is ordinance number 15-160, annexing land lying on the east side of Research Park Boulevard and on the north side of Plummer Road.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Shower, second by Mr. Culver. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. G is ordinance number 15-190, approving street name change portion of Orchard Street and Hundley Drive from Oakwood Avenue South to Wheeler Avenue to be renamed Dr. Joseph L. Lowry Boulevard. This was postponed from our March 12, 2015 regular council meeting. Is there a motion? I'll put it on the floor. The chair moves to approve it. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Culver. Council members, we've talked a lot about this. I've met with concerned citizens and met with the planning department and administration, and I think there's a way to work this out with some time to honor both citizens and do it in a good way. And we just need some more time to work that. So I'm going to move that we table this and we'll bring it back through the proper channels. And I think we can satisfy almost everyone.
Second the motion to table.
Okay, I've moved to table. We have a second. All those in favor of tabling it, say aye. Opposed? It carries. And again, council members, Dr. Shower's been working on it. We'll all be working on it. It'll come back through the planning commission, and our intent is to honor both citizens and do it in the right way. And appreciate all Dr. Shower's work on that. As far as I know, the council, everybody has very good intentions in this. The citizens, the people, we're all trying to do the right thing, and we're just working through it, and we will be back. 14 is new business items for introduction. We have none. 15 is new business items for consideration or action. Keep in mind 15D has already passed tonight. The chair holds 15H, 15J, and 15N, and 15I has been deleted. Are there any other items you'd like to hold? So right now we have 15H, 15J, and 15N. Is Nancy?
Mr. President, I'd like to ask Q be held.
Q is held. Are there any other items? Hearing none, 15A is a request to fill the vacant police records clerk position to provide for authorized strength. B is a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign a plat entitled McCrary Commercial Subdivision Phase 2. C is a resolution authorizing the mayor to agreements with the low bidders, meeting specifications outlined in the attached summary of bids for acceptance. E is an ordinance to amend budget ordinance number 14-665 by changing appropriating funding for various departments. F is a resolution authorizing the mayor to a mutual non-disclosure agreement with DIB ISAC, Inc. G is a resolution authorizing the city attorney to settle the workers' compensation claim of Christopher Cummings. K is a resolution authorizing the mayor an agreement between the City of Huntsville and Little John Engineering Associates Company for engineering design services for roadway improvements at Homer Nance Road and Winchester Road, project number 6515 TI-01. L is a resolution authorizing the mayor to a real estate purchase agreement between the City of Huntsville and Heritage Ventures, Inc. M is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute change order number 1 to the contract between the City of Huntsville and Reed Contracting Service, Inc. for resurfacing of Residential Street, 2014, Phase 1, project number 6514 RR02. O is a resolution authorizing the mayor an agreement between the City of Huntsville and Corterra, Inc., Core Web Services. P is an ordinance declaring 9 various old-style non-LED 3-section traffic signals surplus and donating them to Huntsville City Schools. The chair moves for consolidation approval of 15A through C, 15E through G, 15K through M, 15O, and 15P.
Second.
We have a motion to consolidate and approve by the chair, second by Dr. Showers. All those in favor of consolidation approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. We're now at 15H. 15H is a resolution authorizing condemnation proceedings to acquire certain parcels of property for the Greenbrier Parkway 3 project.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Showers, second by Mr. Kling. Ms. Cates, can you discuss this, please?
Yes, sir, I'd be glad to. This resolution, what it basically does is it authorizes the city to proceed with acquiring and, if necessary, to proceed with condemning under Section 18-1A-22 of the Code of Alabama certain properties for the rights-of-way and for utility and drainage easements and temporary construction easements for properties for the Greenbrier Parkway Phase 3 project, and it authorizes the mayor to have those be appraised and to proceed, with the acquisition as necessary and the condemnation proceedings as necessary in order to acquire those easements
Thank
and
you, Ms.
rights-of-way.
Thank you, Ms. Cates.
Okay.
Mr. Davis, do you have anything to add?
I can just answer any questions. Council members, this is a kind of a standard item we bring to you on large road projects. Just allows us to go through the process of order appraisals, make offers, and try to resolve those within our limits of the Constitution. If not, then we have to go into the condemnation proceedings.
Okay. Thank you. Council members, any questions, discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. J is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter agreement between the City of Huntsville and Foresight, Inc. for engineering design services for Freedom Technology Park, project number 6515 SP20.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Showers, second by Dr. Robinson. Mr. Davis?
Council members, as Dr. Robinson mentioned, we had a great announcement with Torch Technologies creating Freedom Technology Park. They'll be investing a little over $7 million in South Huntsville, adjacent to Golf and Vermont Road and Chris Drive and along the Parkway, and creating 200 jobs over the next 5 years. In negotiations with that, Torch considered not only Huntsville or Research Park or South Huntsville, but operations in Colorado and Florida. So, we're proud they're staying in Huntsville. We're proud they're staying at this campus. But we did compete with locations in Florida and Colorado where they have satellite offices as they decide to make a corporate campus. As part of that, we agreed to make improvements. As you're well aware, it's the Nichols Research Campus. A lot of the sidewalks in the landscape within the public right-of-way some of it's in disrepair, just outdated. We agreed if they would stay there as part of an incentive that the city would offer as we make improvements with those public right-of-ways of updating the sidewalks and the landscaping within that public right-of-way. We will not be doing anything on private property. We'll be in the public right-of-way, and we're capped at $150,000 of those improvements.
Thank you very much. Council members, questions, discussion?
I just guess I would add my thanks again to the city for partnering with Torch to make it possible for them to make that. It was a joint investment, and it's an investment in the community.
Absolutely.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. N is a resolution authorizing the mayor into agreement between the City of Huntsville and Move Digital.
I need to recuse myself due to a professional association.
Okay. Dr. Robinson has recused herself and will abstain from voting. Dr. Showers has made the motion. The chair seconds it. This is a resolution authorizing the mayor into agreement between the City of Huntsville and Move Digital. Is there anyone from the administration that can explain this?
Sure.
Mr. Diamond.
Harrison Diamond Administration. This is a contract we have with Move Digital to help us better utilize social media for our various departments. Right now we have a lot of disparate accounts, not really done consistently, so this is a way for us to try to improve our communications with the public through social media. Seems, that's where most of our discussions with the public are occurring more and more now on social media, and this is to help us better utilize that.
And how much?
Sir, the contract is $14,000, includes various trainings for our departments.
And it's 4 to 6 meetings per month, so we're getting a lot for our $14,000.
Comments, discussion? Thank you, Mr. Diamond.
Sir.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. Q is ordinance declaring certain equipment surplus and disposed of at auction.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Showers, second by Dr. Robinson. Is someone from Public Transit here? Mr. Hamilton, can you explain this, please?
Mr. President, I can just throw out the question I had.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. President, Tommy, I guess the question I had, we're positive this piece of equipment can't be somehow utilized. I know we're talking about trying to do more, but we're not letting go of something that we could still utilize in some form, could we?
No, sir. These vehicles have a useful life, and this one's extended its useful life. We do make the vehicles that are in good enough shape available to other community uses. The one we're talking about here, I would not recommend to anyone to use, so we're going to dispose of it.
I'm not trying to stump you, but offhand, do you know what the mileage is on this unit? If you don't...
Well, you have stumped me.
Okay, I'm sorry. No.
I would venture to say up around 200,000 miles. Generally, that's where we take them to. There is actually some federal requirements on the mileage before we can replace them. So we're within those guidelines, and it's certainly a vehicle that we don't want to continue to use and would probably be cost prohibitive for anyone else to use. Now, we do have vehicles that come out that are in better shape that we have made available and will make available in the future to other community uses.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Kling. Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. We're now at 16, legal department item transactions. 16A is vacation of easement. With C is deeds for acceptance. The chair moves to consolidation and approval of those items.
Second.
Second by Mr. Culver. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. And we're now at non-roster communications from the public. Ms. Reed?
Non-roster, okay. Really, when I asked the question, you didn't ever really answer my utility easement question. I'll have to come back and tell you what I'm trying to talk about. Over in the old town over here, there's 10 feet easements where the trucks can run up and down through there, supposedly. So if somebody moves over and puts a fence in, that's land grabbing, and the utility trucks can't go up and down anymore. So they go up in the next door neighbor when they need to get in there to do something. They go to this neighbor that didn't put the fence up, and they drive up and down their property. And then they sit there and tell them they didn't have anything to do with it. I don't understand the easement. And I don't know how many feet it is between two neighbors of a fence before somebody can put a fence up. There's just a whole lot of things going on in this city that I don't yet understand. And when you cut those trucks driving through those easements off, how are you going to get in there and do your jobs? Just give it to whoever grabbed it first. That's land grabbing. If it's a 10-foot easement, it belongs to two people, not one person. Anyway, y'all got better answers than I do. You didn't answer my question, though. I just want to know if you or the mayor or any of you have a cost of tearing down this Holiday Inn over here. I want to know the cost on that when you get through with it, because we paid $6.8 million for it. It's probably cost over $300,000. You're tearing down the Scruggs Center and the Aquatic Center, and you're giving this developer 99-year lease. I can't sleep at night over that. I really cannot. Goodness, go back. You're surprised somebody hadn't sued you. You don't know the cost of the city property. You don't have appraisal, good values. You're just giving this city away. Stop it. And then you're going to go borrow $90 million. You're fixing to go borrow $90 million of new money. quit giving this city away. I have really a problem with that. Cummings Research Park, the last time they tried to change the name, I was at the meeting when the daughter of Milton Cummings didn't want that changed. Now you're wanting to go in there and change the zoning on it. May I ask you something? Is that so you can put hotel, retails, and motels down there? Golly. If it's paying off and as much money as y'all are putting in giving away, quit borrowing money. Help. I'm begging you all to get your minds right up there. I'm doing all I can. I'm preaching and praying, and nobody's listening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Mr. Kling?
I think as a good cost savings effort, it should be pointed out that Public Works has been demolishing the old Hilton property. And in fact, Mr. Hatfield told me that he was out there just this past weekend working on it. So, I mean, it's being done in-house. I know there's still tipping fees and some other costs, but that is a good cost saving versus the city just contracting it out. And I think that's an innovative, hard-working approach that needs to be recognized for the good work it is.
And Mr. President, we might point out, it keeps being brought up that there was a $6.8 million price for Holiday Inn property. There was $6.8 million price, but that was paid back over the term from the vendor who was working there at the Holiday Inn, and from their contribution to pay back. They paid that back at the very end, and paid it back through the term of the lease, and paid us back on that. So it does not have a $6.8 million cost out to the citizens of Huntsville. That cost was paid back by the use of the property and by that property working. When it came down to it, our basis in that property was very, very little. We're able to turn it into something that now will have 2 hotels on it. We'll have retail. We'll have office on it, apartments, and be an urban style living. If you want to see success of it, go over to Twickenham. The Twickenham development right now, you probably can't get in either the Steamer or the other new restaurant down there, the Taco Mama. Both of them just shows a real need for that type of operation in the city, and that type of operation in the downtown area. That will be the same thing that we will see at the Holiday Inn site. It'll be the same thing that we will see at the Avenue over on Jefferson and Holmes. So all of that puts together to make for vibrancy in the area.
Thank you. Sir, if you'll state your name and address for the record.
Clarence Johnson, 3302 Buttrey Drive here in Huntsville. Good evening, all. I would like to echo the words without stating them again of Mr. Hayden, Mr. and Mrs. Lee, and Miss, I believe, Regina Colson with regard to the naming of a street after Joseph E. Lowry. I see and I've heard that you've postponed it, tabled it now, and your sentiment seems to be that you want to try to work something out that would complement both requests in that issue. I simply request that whatever you work out, it will be something meaningful, not just one little short block or something, but a meaningful a street instead of chopping up that one location. And that's my recommendation to the council. Thank you.
Thank you. That's certainly our intention. Is there anyone else that'd like to address the council?
Move to adjourn.
We're adjourned.